Hello, RC World. Welcome to the very first episode of Adult RC, the internet's only not family-friendly RC show. Before we get started, I wanted to send a couple of shout-outs to some people who inspired me to do this show. One to Medic from RC Adventures, one to Chris Rappel from Scaletown, one to Lyle from the RC Athletes, and one to a non-RCer, Ryan Scribner. You guys inspired me to really do this and give it a shot, so thanks. So without further ado, let's wrench on some fucking RCs. So here we have some G-Made RSD 100mm shocks. Pretty sweet looking shocks. We're going to test them out on the Wraith. But right now we're going to build the one that is not sitting here with the set. Sitting over here. Nice little pile of parts. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass having to put it together yourself, but they were a pretty decent price for the set. So let me get this set up and get this fucker knocked out. Alright. Start out with the shaft. And one of these guys. Pick whichever one you want to use. They have a different number of slots, 2, 3, and 4. 2 is going to be a little bit stiffer. 4 is going to be the loosest because the extra slots are going to let more oil pass more easily in the shock as it compresses and rebounds. I want them sloppy for a crawler, so I'm running the 4 slotters. Put it on the end of the shaft. You take little baby clip. These things are a fucking pain in the ass. There's a fucking bit and a little bit of luck, and there it goes. If you don't push down on it just right, it goes flying. You say fuck a bunch of times. Luckily, G-Made send an extra one with a pair of shocks. So you can make that mistake once. Next, take the bottom of the shock body. And you get these 3 little black rings that come on a parch tree. I already cut them off. One of them has a step to it. That one goes in first with the smaller diameter portion facing down so that it ends up looking at you out this hole when you're done. Then put a little bit of the oil that comes with it. Put in one of these little O-rings. Then the other 2 are a 2mm spacer and a 1mm spacer. Put the 2mm spacer on top of the first O-ring. And another drop of oil. Then the other O-ring. And the 1mm spacer caps it off. When you push it down, you will get just inside here, there's a groove right inside this edge. You line up the curved part first, leaving the straight section of wire exposed, and then you can just kind of catch it with your fingernail and shove it in there. Boom, pops right in. It'd be help if I was fucking centered, but give me a break. I'm doing this with a fucking cell phone. Then take the shaft that you assembled with the piston plunger on the end there. Give it a little workage. Get it through. Bam. Yeah, you know you like that. Alright. There's an O-ring. Larger skinny O-ring here. Goes around the base. Got to stretch it over the top. Kind of like a fucking condom band. Roll it down the threads. Come on, you little fucker. There we go. Get it to seat at the bottom so that it's sitting. Oop, yeah, you don't want that little shit. Make sure it's sitting flat all the way around. Now it's time to put oil in the shock body. You're gonna spill shock oil, period. I take a paper towel, roll it up around the shock body. Roll it up like a nice fat tube. And then when the oil spills over, it'll catch, won't make a huge mess, won't get all over your hands. So then you take the oil. I got 2 pairs of shocks. 1 pair of shocks comes with enough oil to do all 4. So I have a whole nother bottle, and I still have all this left, even after filling the other 3. So I probably should have made the hole a little bit bigger when I punctured the bottle, but this keeps it from coming out too fast and making a huge fucking mess. You don't have to fill it all the way up because you're going to displace some when you stick the shock piston in there. Do it slowly, push it all the way to the bottom, and make a big bubble overflow, but that's going to force pretty much any air out and get the threads started. Now, it comes with this tool, which has a recess on this side, which fits on the top of this. You have to push down on this shaft to keep it bottomed out while tightening this at the same time. So I'm going to try to do that and keep it in the camera shot here. It sounds like it's going to be a pain in the dick, but alright. Wipe off whatever excess oil. Itch the paper towel, and we're installed. Functional. Alright, next thing you want to do is take the upper spring collar, make sure it's facing the right direction, drop it on the top of the shock, get it threaded. I usually turn, especially aluminum threads, backwards some until you feel them click together, because if you start forcing aluminum threads, it's real easy to fuck them up, and you're just in a world of shit at that point. Fucked up threads suck. It doesn't matter what you're fucking working on. It's like one of the shittiest things ever. Avoid it at all costs, no matter how much extra time it takes you. It's also not bad to have some means to fix it. Have a tap and die set, or a thread chaser set, or some thread files, or something. Because if you have no way to fix fucked up threads, you are going to cause yourself some major fucking problems. Alright, Next thing we got to do is put the eye on. There's the eye. There's the ball. Get it set up. Take a cross wrench, put it over the top, and just push until it pops. There you go. Now, the way this shock goes together, I have to twist the rod end on here, and it will thread the plastic in the rod end while I do it, which means I got to hold this shaft from spinning while I thread the plastic on there. So I'm going to use a pair of vice grips, basically, and per the instructions on the assembly for these, fold it up a piece of paper a couple of times and wrap it around the shaft before you put the vice grips on. And the wider the vice grips, the better. And it does actually hold well without fucking up the shaft. So let's go ahead and do that now. Boom. There we go. Take the rod end. Start it like this. Once it gets a little harder to turn, and it's on a little ways, I'll use some kind of assistance, a little bit of mechanical advantage. Get all your fingers and body parts involved. All right. So that's all the fucking hard shit done. Pop on the spring. Pop on the bottom perch. And you got yourself a fucking shock. Here we go. Set of 4, ready to rock. Coming up soon. Put them on the Wraith and see how they do. Okay, so here's the Wraith with the shocks installed. Look pretty good. Adds to the scale look. You see the RSD logo up in there in the dark. And yeah, this is my super scale Wraith. I scaled the absolute shit out of it. I don't know if I can think of anything else to do to it. Anybody can, you can drop it in the comments. But it's mostly stock. It does have RC 4-wheel drive, servo relocation kit, and some aftermarket wheels. But aside from that, everything else is scale and protective, really. It's got stock axle, stock drive line, stock electronics. I don't generally change electronics and things until the stock shit burns out. I paid for it. It came with the truck, so I'm going to use it. But real quick, I'll go over some of the scale on this thing. The back is loaded up. We got fuel cell with electronic fuel pumps, fully plumbed. We got the battery in there wired. We got a welder. We got a compressor. We got a couple of toolboxes full of shit. There's the cables and clamp and nozzle for the welder. Fire extinguisher both sides. Got nitrous installed up the center. Power inverter, which is also wired. I'll show you on the other side. Yeah, racing 5-point harnesses, which are the nicest 5-point harnesses I've ever seen, but they come disassembled, and it takes a little while and a little patience to put them together. That part kind of sucks, but they look great when they're done. And we got the Darkwing motion steering wheel up there. Still need a driver. Got the race pack dash there from exclusive RC, along with the little GoPro up there in the windshield, recording our trail ride. Exclusive RC makes some pretty cool shit, but anything that comes with paper on it, like the reading on that dash, it's not waterproof. So you got to take some clear paint or something like that and put it over there. Otherwise, as soon as you get it wet, you'll fuck it up. We got AMF skid plate, and there is actually a side body panel that runs all the way down here under the stock body panel that I got basically because it encloses the cab. Makes it look a little more real. I handmade an aluminum bed for in this thing. We got the AMF rear panel that has the spare tire mount on it. Got a nice little fucking set of truck nuts hanging off there. Can't have a fucking truck without truck nuts. All my trucks have truck nuts. This was my first scale, or my first crawler that I bought. Second truck, actually. Running the stock tires. I love the axial ripsaws. They're a pretty badass tire. They're kind of a hard compound, so if you're doing anything that requires some real soft compound, they could be a little bit insufficient, but for the most part, rock crawling, they're pretty fucking badass. Let me get this thing moving around a little bit here. The RC four-wheel drive servo relocation kit works great, looks great. I took one of their steering stabilizer mock-up pieces that's just supposed to look like a steering stabilizer. Let me put the front end back down. And I modified it, carved all the threads off it, so now it actually functions with the steering and looks like a steering stabilizer should. Let's turn this bitch around. So then, yeah, obviously you probably noticed the jack on the hood. I made actual hood pins. All the electronics and the battery hide under here now. The battery's obviously not in the back with all that shit in there anymore. Got the worn winch. It's pretty standard fare. Looks great. Bastion's winch mount went in there, fit great, and jived with all the other parts, like the RC four-wheel drive metal shit that goes in there. Still running all the stock suspension. Like I said, everything's fucking stock, well, except for the shocks now. Got R2 riding shotgun, just in case need a little bit of more brain power and calculating power than I have. We got first aid, we got CB. Here's the antenna. Ooh, CB, oh, look at all that shit up on top. We're ready to go. We got water, we got beer, propane, gas, tools, spare parts, gun. We got chainsaw, spare nitrous bottle. There's a generator hiding down in there. We got axles. There's gas and tools and all kinds of shit stuck up there. Basically tried to build this truck in such a way that if it was a real truck and I wanted to get into it and just drive into the woods for a week or two and come out on the other side, everything that should be on that truck is on this truck. We got a fucking Homer bucket full of chains and tow rope. We got an oxyacetylene torch set up to go with the welder just in case we need to do some trail repairs. We got argon CO2 tanks in there for the welder. I mean, this thing is fucking ridiculous. I've been a real mechanic for a long time, and I used a lot of that knowledge in outfitting the vehicle. So there you go. Now you see the super scale Wraith, pretty bad looking motherfucker. I even matched the rims green to kind of accent the paint job. I also fully waterproofed the electronics on this thing. So everything has either been plastic dipped or conformal coated. That LED, I took that LED light bar apart and conformal coated the circuit board, and then all the lighting, all the wiring, the controllers, everything is hidden. The grill over here, which I actually forgot to mention, there's a Proline grill. Yeah, this would be easier if I just turn the fucking truck around. There it is. That grill has the light electronics hidden in it. All the wires are hidden down under the rack where you can't really see them. And then there's just that one little wire sticking out the back. I got a 1000 mAh 9 volt that runs the system that hides in that spare tire. You pop off the sand ladders there, and then the inside of that wheel, it's a stock wheel, is shaved out just a little bit, and then the 9 volt will slide inside there and just rides inside that tire on the trail. Nobody even knows it's there. Lasts a good long time too. So now we got those cool shocks on there. We got those shitty plastic stock ones off. Let's go take it outside, take it for a fucking ride, see how it performs. And maybe I'll learn how to talk in the meantime. Alright, it's about 25 degrees out here. Probably not going to perform to its full extent, but see how these shocks do. Are you fucking kidding me? Ah. What's fucking broke? Ah, shit. I knew that was gonna happen. So, when I did this fucking shit with the steering stabilizer on the front, I didn't have a long enough bolt to put all this shit in right here. So I put the nut on there a few threads, and of course the bastard fell off. And now I can't steer. So let's go fix that up real quick. Alright. Now we got a proper fucking length bolt in there with a nylock nut. That shouldn't happen again. The only reason I didn't put the right bolt in there to start with is because I ordered a nice stainless steel one that's not here yet. But this will make do for now. At least the fucker will steer. Yeah, so that's the Wraith. Seemed like it performed pretty good. Shocks held up pretty good even in the cold. I am noticing some massive power issues. I got so much shit on this thing now, I think it might be a little bit too heavy to keep running the nickel metal hydride. And I can't put a 3S LiPo in it because it's got an AE2 speed control. So we're going to go ahead and get a better speed control on the way. I know I said I usually wait until I burn them up, but if the truck isn't drivable, it's just as good as the thing being burned up. So we get some new shit on the way. But in the meantime, if you have any comments, drop them below. Go ahead and click subscribe, give it a like, hit the notification bell, and we'll keep improving the trucks, keep improving the show, and we'll see you next time on Adult RC, where grown-up time is playtime.